My name is Mike Sullivan. I'm a 24-year-old bachelor. Currently, I'm working at a popular department store in downtown Manhattan. I drank too much. I was nursing a pounding hangover, contemplating going back to bed, when suddenly my smartphone started ringing. The call was from my boss, the department manager. Why would he be calling on the store's day off? As I picked up the call with a puzzled look, my boss excitedly greeted me. "Mike, good morning. As promised, I'll pick you up this evening." What promise are you talking about? You're so funny. Didn't you say at yesterday's party that you would meet my daughter for a date and even try living together? My mind was thrown into chaos by his completely unexpected response. I was too stunned to reply, but my boss said, "Talk to you later," and abruptly hung up. Unable to comprehend what was happening, I drank some water and tried to cool down my head. As I was thinking about last night's party, I had a bad feeling. At the company's drinking party last night, I, having just experienced a breakup, was drowning my sorrows in alcohol, getting thoroughly drunk. My ex-girlfriend was Layla, a beautiful 22-year-old model with a stunning figure. I was infatuated with her, but she cheated on me, and we decided to break up after discussion. Layla said there were plenty of other men besides me, and it would be better to break up if I was going to blame her for cheating. Deeply hurt by her heartless words, I drank heavily to ease my sorrow. My memory of what happened after is vague, but I think I spilled my heartbreak story to my boss. Just as I received a message from a coworker asking, "Were you all right yesterday?" and asked for the details of what I had discussed with my boss, a terrifying truth emerged. Seeing my heartbroken state, my boss had a suggestion. "Would you like to meet my daughter for a date? She's turning 37 this year and seems eager to get married. She's seriously looking for a partner, and she seemed to like you when she saw you at the store. I'm about to retire soon, and I'd love to see my grandchildren. I'm married to an older woman, and trust me, it's really great." In my drunken state, I apparently casually replied, "Sure, why not?" Cheered by my response, my boss even suggested, "Why don't you try living together for a month to get to know each other better? I'm sure you'll like her once you spend some time together." To your words, boss. I despise my past self for raising a glass and saying that. I really want to run away right now, but I can't, because I agreed to this myself. As promised, my boss came to pick me up at my place in the evening. Apparently, we were heading to a fancy restaurant where I was supposed to meet his daughter for the first time. After dinner, we'll head straight to the apartment where my daughter lives alone. The apartment is fully furnished, and you only need to bring the bare minimum. While you two are eating, I'll move your stuff to the apartment. Also, since it's a special occasion, why don't you dress up in a chic suit? I think it'll really enhance your charm. Okay. Overwhelmed by my boss's enthusiasm, I packed my things, changed into a suit, and smoothly got into the car. All the while we were driving, my boss kept saying with a smile, "I'm sure you two will get along." While listening to him, I began to feel a glimmer of hope. Although I'm really into younger, cute girls, I had just gone through a terrible breakup, so I thought it might be good to try dating an older woman this time. And since my boss is pushing this so much, maybe his daughter is beautiful. With these fantasies in mind, I entered the restaurant, but my hopes were instantly crushed. The woman waiting for me was a very plump lady, quite different from my usual type. I'm normally into slender women. I'm slim myself, and both my mom and sister are as well, so this woman in front of me seemed so big. "Nice to meet you, I'm Grace," Grace said, bowing politely. She was wearing a frilly, floral print dress, which somehow looked mismatched. Maybe it's because her hair is pitch black compared to the light color of her dress. Her face was not beautiful, and she looked her age, so I was disappointed deep down. "Nice to meet you." After we exchanged greetings, my boss said, "Take your time," with a smile and left. I was pondering what to talk about with a woman more than a decade older than me when Grace slowly started speaking. "I'm sorry to involve you in this complicated situation, but don't worry, I understand my place too." I was taken aback by her unexpected words, and as I stood there wide-eyed, Grace turned a gentle smile in my direction. "My father is desperate to get me married off as soon as possible. But you see, with my looks and my social skills, I'm embarrassed to say, I have no experience in love. So I've actually given up on the idea of getting married myself. I see. Listening to Grace, I couldn't help but feel sympathy for her. Apparently, it was not her but her father, my boss, who was in a rush. So, I have a favor to ask. Would you be willing to live with me for just 1 month? Of course, we would have separate bedrooms, and I'll cover all the living expenses. You're free to do as you please in my apartment. If I can prove to my father that I'm not cut out for cohabitation, he should stop nagging me. I'll make sure that you don't suffer any disadvantage at work if our relationship doesn't work out, so don't worry. At first, I was determined to refuse any proposal, but after hearing her story, I changed my mind. All right, it's clear that your father truly loves you, Grace. Considering the circumstances, I'll agree to this. Upon hearing my agreement, Grace's eyes sparkled with joy. Thank you, I'm really happy. Oh, but I must say, I truly do find you wonderful, Mike. Let's make the most of the next month. Guys, looking forward to it. Actually, as I got to know Grace, I came to think of her as a kind and gentle person. She might be socially awkward, but I believe she truly has a kind heart. Of course, she's not exactly my type, and while I feel guilty towards her for harboring feelings towards me, the chances of anything romantic happening between us are practically non-existent. And so, we embarked on a 1-month trial of living together. My boss was overjoyed, exclaiming they're going for it. However, we had planned to end it in a month, with the agreed-upon excuse of we just didn't click. In reality, though, living with Grace turned out to be nothing short of comfortable. At first, the age gap and lack of common topics of conversation concerned me, but one day, I learned something surprising about her that changed our dynamics. Those flowers are beautiful. Did you buy them? When I asked about the small white flower arrangement adorning the windowsill, Grace shook her head. No, I made that. You made that, Grace. I didn't know anything about her, but it turns out Grace was actually a flower arrangement instructor. As someone with a keen interest in fashion and art and working at a department store, I was intrigued by her work. What was your inspiration for this arrangement? When I asked, Grace's eyes sparkled as she explained her creation. This white flower is called a snowdrop. Isn't it gorgeous? I imagined a silvery world and used the snowdrop as a main element to express the sparkling beauty of winter. Hearing her explain her unique worldview, I found Grace incredibly fascinating. Chatting about the arrangements was so enjoyable that time flew by. Initially, we planned to have separate meals, but I found myself wanting to spend more time with her. Without even realizing it, we naturally started sharing meals together. Grace was quite skilled in household chores, especially cooking, which she could have been a professional at. Initially, we planned to split household chores, but Grace being an early riser, the house was always spotless by the time I woke up. Feeling guilty, I offered to help, but Grace said I was the one who imposed this arrangement. In the end, aside from doing the laundry and cleaning my own room, Grace took care of all the chores. I was living in a consistently clean and organized house with well-balanced and delicious meals. The comfort was unsurpassed. At work, my boss often checked in on our situation. How's living with my daughter, Mike? It's really enjoyable. Grace is excellent with household chores. I'm truly grateful. That's good to hear. She's always saying love is impossible for someone like me. She's our precious daughter, but she always puts herself down. Hearing my boss's story, an idea popped into my head. I'd been wanting to thank Grace, who always prepared delicious meals, so I decided to make her a present in my own way. I found a piece of fabric that would suit her and decided to use my sewing skills to make her a custom-made piece from scratch. My mother was a sewing instructor, and sewing is my secret hobby. I currently manage the fashion floor at a department store. Of course, in order to make the dress, I needed to take her measurements. When I told Grace about my plan, she was thrilled. Oh, thank you. I'll leave the measurements to you then, Mike. Yes, please. With nervousness gripping me, I slowly extended my arms toward Grace. Seeing her body up close like this for the first time, my heart pounded with excitement. Wow, she's really big. Grace's size was indeed much larger than average, but I believed that her larger frame allowed her to pull off certain designs better than others. With that conviction, I gifted her a handmade dress. This is for me. The dress, a glossy black fabric adorned with large white rose patterns, suited Grace perfectly. Over time, I'd come to feel that she looked better in cool fashion rather than cute, frilly clothing. It seemed her larger frame was ideal for bold patterns and unique styles. Grace, you look stunning. If you'd like, may I do your makeup as well? I acquired some basic makeup skills while working at a department store, a job my sister, a hairstylist, had recommended. Following the guidance of a makeup book, I applied cosmetics to Grace's face. She typically favored natural makeup, but I chose to use a bright red lipstick and deep black eyeliner. As I had expected, the intense makeup complemented her raven black hair. No way, I don't even recognize myself. Grace, you really pull off this unique style. Well, this is a first for me, but I think I like it. I used to only wear frilly, floral clothing because my mother liked it. I see. Grace had been influenced by her mother to wear such clothing in the past. I always hated how I looked. I thought makeup was pointless, but it really does make a difference, doesn't it? Yes, this kind of style isn't for everyone, so it's really special when someone can pull it off like you can. Please have confidence. You're incredibly attractive, Grace. As soon as those words left my mouth, I felt my cheeks heat up. It wasn't flattery. I genuinely felt it. Grace, standing before me, was truly beautiful. I had never thought I would see her in this light. Mike, thank you, I'm really happy. With those words, Grace gave me a sweet smile. Seeing her joy-filled face made my heart swell. Age didn't matter anymore. Only 3 weeks into living together, I came to genuinely like her. At first, I was put off by her larger size, but I grew accustomed to it, and above all, I was entirely smitten with her personality. Before the trial period was over, I needed to express my feelings. I resolved to take Grace shopping on my next day off. We would look for clothing that suited her new style. I decided to confess my feelings. Amid all this, I received a message from my ex, Layla, saying she wanted to get back together. If it had been the old me, I would have gladly accepted her invitation, but not now. I clearly told Layla, I can't. Grace was the only one in my heart now. I resolved to forget the past and look forward to tomorrow's date. But on the date with Grace, something unexpected happened. Oh Mike, is that you? I was taken by surprise when we bumped into Layla while walking down the shopping district with Grace. Grace looked at Layla, clearly puzzled, while Layla sized her up with an intrusive stare. The Layla was more traditionally attractive than Grace. Seeing her make such a face didn't make her look beautiful. Mike, did you lose your mind after I dumped you? You always like slim, beautiful women like me, right? Walking around with a large, older woman like her, your taste has really gone downhill. Layla's hurtful words left Grace frozen in shock. Layla then sauntered up to me, purring in a sultry voice. Hey Mike, wake up, let's start over. I'm way better than that old lady. I couldn't hold back any longer and interrupted Layla. Don't disrespect the person I care about. I was surprised at the loudness of my voice, even more than I had expected. Layla and Grace, too, were taken aback by my sudden change in demeanor, eyes wide with surprise. Grace is the most important person in the world to me. She is far more wonderful to me than someone who belittles others like you, Layla. That's how much I love her. Even if it's you, Layla, I won't let you hurt her anymore. Whatever, fine. That plain dull old lady suits you just fine. With that, Layla spat out her parting shot and ran off somewhere. Realizing that the people in the town were paying attention to us, I took Grace's hand and moved to a quiet park. Grace was shedding a waterfall of tears, possibly hurt by Layla's words. I had to take her to a quiet place to calm down. As we sat down on a bench together, I first apologized to Grace. Grace, I'm sorry for what happened earlier. My ex was speaking out of line. You shouldn't take it to heart. As I said that, Grace looked up at me with teary eyes. No, it's not that. I'm happy. I've always hated the way I look. I thought no one would ever like me, but I was really happy when you said that, Mike. I've liked you since the first time I saw you. Grace. Overwhelmed with happiness, I gently pulled her into an embrace. I love you too, Grace. You're really beautiful. As I said that and caressed her back, Grace grasped my hand and said, yes, even if other people put me down. If you say that to me, Mike, that's enough for me. It ended up being quite different from what I had initially imagined, but I was able to convey my feelings to her. And with that, we officially started dating and told my boss that we were planning on getting married eventually. The boss was very pleased with the news. Yay! I couldn't be happier about my lovely daughter and adorable subordinate getting together. And so, after a year of dating, we registered our marriage successfully. Currently, we are preparing for our wedding ceremony. Grace had lost a significant amount of weight since we met, so we had to make a new wedding dress for her. Grace really has become so beautiful since meeting Mike. As the boss said this, he sighed dreamily while looking at a flower arrangement magazine. And on the cover of that magazine was Grace herself. Having built up a career as a flower arrangement instructor, Grace, with her accomplishments and chic style, had become a notable and charismatic figure in the flower arrangement industry. Grace, who wore the resized black dress I gave her as a present to fit her slimmed-down figure, was several times more beautiful than when we first met. Love is a powerful thing, isn't it? After meeting Grace, I was able to heal from the heartbreak and experience the joy of love again. No matter what lies ahead, if it's with her, we can overcome it together. With that conviction in my heart, I showed the boss a beaming smile